Yo, what's up, everybody? Oh, wrong headphones. Craftsman, Freddy 78, it's Katima's World, Tanya. Oh, the names are coming all in. All right, so let me put this in here really quick. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. It is Tuesday. All right, so it's Tuesday. The notorious JRQ, my man. All right, anyway, so listen, hopefully you had Aaron Kerman. What's up, Aaron? How you doing? Fubu Watches, what's going on? Hey, Fubu Watches, I need you to send me some watches. I'm going back to filming. I want to make sure I have them on the scene, you know, because that's when I'm going to be looking good and having actually my other stuff besides the kind of yard stuff on. I can't wear Fubu Watches in the yard. It's too blingy for the ducks. They're too sexy looking for the ducks. All right, so let me just jump right into it today. First of all, I hope you all had a really great Labor Day weekend. Yep, it was Labor Day, Memorial Day. I kind of mix those up, the beginning of the summer, the end of the summer. And who am I going to have on today? You're going to learn from these people here because you're going to learn how to be more of a information sharing, content sharing person, because I got on JR, my man JR, and I got Scott. You guys probably know both of them from different areas of business and stuff like that. Oh, listen, I'm sorry. You know what? I was a little late. You know how you get caught up on Instagram and various other things because you got a reply, and this. And I wanted to share it with you. There was, and this has happened a couple of times, but it depends on how the person gets at me. A couple of years ago, there was a company called the Lip Bar. Two really amazing females that came on the show, and they had a color line, makeup line. Did anybody remember that? If you remember that, throw your hands up or tell me if you do. They were out of Brooklyn. I believe they were out of Brooklyn, and really good stuff. Obviously, I don't know much about makeup. I couldn't go into the brand and the product. But they were really a great brand. So in the business of, I'll say like in clothing, thank you, Patricia. In clothing, they don't call it clothing, they call it the textile business. You can say to somebody you're in fashion, but when you're in textiles, that's a very particular part of fashion. I'm going to just give you some of this lingo. Because you could be in footwear, you could be in home, you could be in whatever the case is. When you're in fashion, you could be in bedding, you could be in accessories. But when you say textiles could be getting down a little more narrow, meaning you're dealing with cloths and fabrics, right? So when the women came on, they presented their brand, and in a lot of different categories, lipstick and I think eyeshadow and all that stuff. It's called a color line. That's what we call it. That's our terms, color. Kevin O'Leary said at the end, he said, listen, you know what, the normal cockroach stuff, but he said, I think you're two basically cockroaches or colored cockroaches. And often this pops up, not often, but once in a while it pops up where people go, how did you let him just sit there and call them colored cockroaches, or, you know, basically a racist tag, and how did I sit there and just watch them? Well, first of all, let's just, you know, a lot of times when I see things, you know, I do on TMZ, follow the money. A lot of times before people want to have a jerk reaction on something, you want to follow the money. Let's say he was trying to be a racist. Let's say that. Let's say he was or is a racist. There's no trying to be a racist. You're a racist or not. Let's follow the money. Do you think ABC, MGM, Sony, and Disney would allow an edit? And all of you are Shark Tank fans, you already know that those pitches are an hour long, and you only see 8 minutes of it. Why would they highlight him making a racist statement? Just let's follow the money. Don't you think those women can say, you allow somebody to racistly talk to me in a racist manner and my business is destroyed, I'm suing you? Don't you think there would be various different backlashes from organizations saying you are promoting, and this is Disney, right? This is ABC, Disney, the home of Mickey Mouse, the home of inclusion, the home of all this other type of stuff. And in this day and age, Do you really think, from a financial standpoint, because of the lawsuits that these young women would have, don't you think that they would have just said, let's not use that part in the edit, let's make it in the editing floor? And that's why I'm fascinated by today, where people just don't understand. Is there racism? Absolutely. We're seeing it more now than ever before. But you got to see where sources are coming from and various other things. However, because I got somebody, and I want you to look at it. It's on my post where I was laughing about my friend throwing up on the boat. But this guy wrote something really crazy down at the end. And I don't want him to think that I responded to him because of the attention he needed. I wanted people to see that response so they could share it. Somebody said, but Disney is racist. Listen, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying you don't have racist people in all kind of things, and also people who are absolutely not racist. I'm just talking about this instance right here. I'm not going to get further into it. I'm not going to get into politics. But the reason why I say this is not, I'm trying to share it for you, not to protect the show or protect that or everybody who knows the show. And also, by the way, if you go back to talk to the lip bar, the females there, they're doing amazing in business, and they're like, we didn't have any problem with what he's saying, and we should be celebrating all the success they did, because I look them up every once in a while, and their business has grown dramatically. And that's more than what we should be talking about, how these young women have gone on to do amazing things, and they didn't need Shark Tank, or Shark Tank was a stepping stone for them. So that's first of all what we should be talking about. But the bottom line is, what I'm really saying is, as we are seeing all these news feeds that come, whether it's fake news, it's real news, or news coming from places, or people saying I heard or whatever, all my life, I've never just taken somebody's advice and or when they say I heard something or did you see that. I always investigate it so I don't look more like an asshole when I go and tell somebody else something. So I'm saying all that for you to just use that to your best ability to, when you see news or when you hear about something or you're sharing information, don't be the asshole that just said, oh, yo, so I heard that this and that. Because right now with Instagram, various other things, when people look you up, they start to see all the statements that you made that may not have been accurate because you didn't do your homework or you heard it from an unreliable source. So make sure you think about that, because exactly, Ms_K said, do your research. That's all. Do your research, because I don't want my people right here to go look like assholes, to go look like stupid, ignorant people. Because when I'm looking at you, and I do that sometimes when I'm investing in a person, I look at their feeds and all the things they said. If I start to see that they are retweeting and saying things that aren't factually checked, it sounds crazy. And I'm going to tell you one time that I was guilty of it myself. I was doing a show with Betty White. And I had just, for some reason, I looked up, a meme came across my feed earlier that day or today's day prior, and we were doing the show To Tell the Truth or something like that. Well, I forgot what it was. And she made a comment, and then I remember seeing a meme earlier, and this was about 5 years ago, that said, Betty White said, oh, you think to have balls is tough? Well, if you have for JJ, whatever the case is, it's pounded all the time, or some weird stuff like that. And I remember re-quoting that meme to her, and she got really offended. And then I said to myself, I said, you know what, I didn't even check my own advice. Just because Betty White's face was there, and just because that meme was put out and it wasn't put out on her feed, I don't know who put that out. And maybe I did obviously say something, and she's a comedian, you know, she's a very funny woman, but she got offended. And I said to myself, you know what, sometimes I'm not even taking my own damn advice. All right, so I'm not saying it because I'm perfect. I'm not saying it because, I can tell you every single thing you need to do, but I've been through it before. And you know what, this day and age, a lot of us are emotionally attached to stuff. Go out there and maybe you just check things out. You know what I mean? Because, you're going to look crazy when you put stuff out. It's going to stay out there, and then you may look crazy to somebody else. All right, so I'm sorry I'm taking up too much time with that. I'm going to bring on right now my buddy JR, Sports Brief. Now, let me just give you a little bit of, let me give you a little background on JR. So, he interned in marketing and events at Vibe magazine at the age of 17 and turned what was supposed to be a 3-month position into a year-long crash course in business marketing and communication. Remember, I told you about 80% or 75% of my staff started off as interns. Don't be mad by taking a job for free, because you probably would have paid to go to school to get that same knowledge. All right. Arranged the first online podcast to be broadcasted directly from the internet to MTV. Has since built an extremely successful online sports brand, interviewed celebrities and sports figures, visited more than 20 countries on his assignments, received more than 70 million views on his videos, and consulted for various Fortune 100 companies, worked as a media strategist for several brands and celebrities. So this is for a lot of people who love broadcasting, who love to be an influencer, who love sports, who love to be able to see something that they love, and maybe they're not physically doing it every day on a professional level, but be able to share this information, you know, like Ginger, the beauty shark Ginger. You should be talking about this like with beauty, or if you're a chef, but I'm going to get further into it. Worked as a media strategist for several brands and celebrities, including DJ Grandmaster Flash, Capital One, the Madison Square Garden, and has received sponsorship and partnerships with companies including Mountain Dew, Degree, Men, Chevy, AT&T, and Arby's. Don't you want to get sponsored? Don't you want people to sponsor your brand, your company, or what you're doing? Check this out. I'm going to ask him, how did he get sponsored? All right. And is currently the youngest contributor to HLN TV, formerly CNN Headlines News, and a contributor to CBS Sports Television and New York Daily News, and is launching the Sports Brief Network. Don't you want to be a contributor? Let me bring on JR really quick so you guys and girls can get to understand my man. And I did an interview with him when we went right into COVID at first. I think I was one of his first on one of his joints. And Scott Rogowski's up next. Scott, please pardon my tardiness. That's my man right there.
Yo, what's going on, D? How you doing?
Oh man, I am good. I am healthy. God is good. I have my kids, you know, and I'm talking to a bunch of people that, you know, have some level of respect for me. So what's happening?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. Thank you for the nice intro and a nice open. This is vice versa. I'm used to interviewing and chatting it up with you, man. And thank you for coming on my new CBS show. I appreciate you, man.
It was really fun. You know, listen, when I go on your shows, you know, I find that you have a great way. I'm not a huge sports fan, as you know. You know, right. I like, you know, I'm kind of what's it called? What is it? I'm the expert. Like if a fight is coming on or a basketball game is coming on, I ain't watch nothing else. But as soon as I, you know, like the stakes are at hand,
right.
I do about an hour looking at the reels and all that, and then I'm the know-it-all dude on the couch. You know what I mean? Like I've been a fan for years.
Big money prize fights.
Yeah. Big money prize fights, World Series, anything else. I don't care if it's racing turtles. If I get, you know, if it's a lot of people talking about it, I'd be like, yo, what's going on over there? And then all of a sudden I'm a know-it-all. But
I got you.
When you put me on, a lot of times you blend the commonalities of sports and business and drive together. So first of all, you know, thank you for what you do. You have the ultimate drive. A lot of people know you, and a lot of people don't know you, and they will know you. That's it. I mean, there's only two types of people, right? People who don't know you, or people who will know you.
Gonna learn, right?
Right. How do you, for people right now, how do they become contributors? How do they become experts in their field if they don't necessarily have the bright light shining on them automatically? Like, I am fortunate enough to be on a television show where they're advertising my intellectual property. But you had to go viewer by user by viewer by, like, tell me the key to what people can learn right now and how to broadcast or get anything out, and the keys that you learn.
You know what? You have to be very passionate about whatever it is that you're trying to do. It can't be a suggestion that somebody said, hey, you should try this. It can't be something that you like to do every now and then. You have to have passion in what you're doing. A lot of people cook day to day. A lot of people will put on makeup. A lot of people are handy with their hands. A lot of people like to build things. A lot of people are into technology. You know, I took one of the things I'm really interested in growing up and watching sports, and I turned it into having a radio show. I turned it into being on television. And a lot of it, you talk about like the groundwork part of it, man, there were no bright lights. My first bright light was the light in my old bedroom. Like, I started on YouTube, and I created content and put it out every single day.
Well, but that's, listen, I want to narrow and deep, because listen, everything that we talk about, you know, it could be talked about, and you're not, and I know you can get narrow and deep on it. When you're saying somebody has passion, I want people to hear what you're saying right now. You are and were a sports fan.
Yes.
You weren't a known athlete. Everybody in the world who loves sports can easily talk sports at dinner, on the phone, whatever the case is. Why am I listening to you? So when you say passion, it had to come through. It had to come through so strong, and it had to. You had to be, like you said, every day. You had to be. You had to. Your voice had to be heard over
Right.
everybody else.
Right.
How did you do that?
I looked at what was out there and I figured out what was going to be different, what was missing. And I said, ultimately, I'm going to be myself. You know, when you think about like sports talk and sports radio in general, it's real specific and it's been the same for a long time. It's like, let's take a former athlete, put him on radio or TV, and then let's go ahead and take a quote unquote traditional journalist, a lot of times who is an older white man, and let's pair them up and boom, we have a sports show. And what I said, I found a hole in the marketplace. I said, I'm younger than everybody that's on television. I said, through my work in marketing and just being around and hustling and interning, I said, I have relationships. I said, okay, I can do this too and fill in a hole where there's nothing else. And I put it to you this way. I relate a lot of things to music. Like we can think about a lot of great musicians, even if you want to talk about hip hop. It doesn't matter if you think Jay-Z's the best ever, or Biggie, or Pop, or if you want to look at somebody like Lil Wayne now. The thing is, every great musician or artist, you could say they're all a part of the same genre, but if you want to stand out, it's like, what makes you different? And I found what makes me different just by being young, by being African American, by being honest, having relationships with the athletes. And I said, okay, I want to come out. This is something I watched and grew up just like any other journalist. Like everybody's watching the same game. Everybody sees the same results. How am I going to communicate my point and my thoughts different than anybody else? And that's really how I started to grow. So I started with nothing online, zero, zip, zilch. I had to put a video up. My first video was on Gary Sheffield saying that he should retire, as much as I liked him, from the New York Mets. And so you know what I did? I put a video up on YouTube and I said, I'm going to go to the baseball community on YouTube and I want to make sure that they can see this video, even by participating and being
And
a part
Gary
of it.
wasn't on the video. You're telling you just decided to just do a video
Yeah.
about your thoughts on why he should retire.
Absolutely. It was just me. I literally went home and I had a TV producer named Fred Seibert. He was the one who told me, hey, I think you should go online. There's nothing stopping you. You like sports, you can go and make money talking about sports, no different than anybody else. So I took a shoebox out of my closet. I had an old Sony Handycam and I stuck that shoebox on a snack tray and I put the camera there. And I uploaded that video in my room. Gary Sheffield, honestly, it's funny, I didn't meet Gary Sheffield until years ago. I actually met him in Los Angeles. And I told him, I said, yo, it's crazy. My first video was about you. But I was literally just a dude like anybody else. And I'm still just a dude. I have a pretty cool job. But I literally, just like anybody else, went online. And it's much different today.
Did Gary even know that video had existed?
He didn't. I
So
told Gary.
that's mean you were so small that even the subject you were talking about did not even know that you were alive and or you made that video.
Yeah. And it was growth. Like, and nowadays that's the beauty. And this was something that I did 10 years ago. And nowadays, look at what we're doing now on Instagram Live. 10 years ago, when I started JR Sport Brief, when I was just like really starting to get into college, the teams, the leagues did not embrace social media for what it is now. There weren't social media posts. There weren't let's do interviews. There wasn't Zoom.
I think Instagram even came around in 2011, didn't it?
Yeah. So
that you weren't. It wasn't even out. Instagram didn't even exist.
Listen, there was not even an acceptance of any type of social media. It's like you're the New York Daily News, you're the New York Times, you're the LA Times, or your ESPN or CNN or Fox Sports. It's like the internet is like you're over there. You're on the internet. And it's crazy to see how much thing has changed.
And now with all the big sponsors that you've had that have shared with you, and a lot of people think sponsors only go after like you said, the New York Times or whatever the case is, what differentiated you from everybody else and make big sponsors say, I want to give you a couple of dollars? Because everybody right now, they would love to get sponsored using
Sure.
somebody else's money to help their platform as well as help that brand, right? So
Hmm.
how did you go after sponsors? Did they come to you? Did you find an agency? Did you mail shit into them? Did you send, look
Right.
my age, right? Did you mail shit into them? Did you
Yeah,
send them a
nah.
video, fax? How did you get them?
A lot of it is, I like to say the cream rises to the top. And if you're putting out good content, for an instance of me, people started to find my videos. The brands and the agencies started to see my work online because there really wasn't anything like I was doing online. You would have vloggers and people popping up from here to there, but nobody eventually, as I continued on, the quality of my videos increased. I was able to utilize some of my relationships to go get interviews. I would do experiences. I had a good friend of mine from an agency one day reach out to me and say, hey, I'm working with Mountain Dew. We want to have you come out to Alaska to highlight our new drink. It's dog sledding. I've been out to NASCAR races. Hey, we want to put you on the track, drive this McLaren. I've done Tough Mudders and work with Degree Men. And so a lot of this has been just building relationships along the way, but letting my content speak for what's out there. And a lot, it's so, I don't want to say it's easier because ain't nothing easy, but it's not so, you don't got to be a giant television network. Everything is so direct and it's real niche. So even if you have a niche product or you're promoting a brand or you're promoting yourself, if you're in auto, fashion, beauty, architecture, there are people looking to advertise, not just huge, but also small because it's so direct.
Well, let me ask you another question. So right now, you have various different platforms. So right now, there's ways that people can get to people. And let's say somebody right now with a small business does not have all the money to get to you from this platform, that platform, because some of your bigger shows got to be sponsored. People get to me, like I'll give you an example. My friend here who has this lip balm called Fan Love is got to me, and
Right.
I respect him and put her up. I couldn't care less about if I got anything from her because I love the brand. Are there ways that small people that they get to you and that you feel like you value what they're doing and they can show you their value to you, and because do you give people a chance like that? So yeah, you know what? I'll highlight it. Or I'll wear this shirt. I'll do this on one of my
Right.
joints right here where I don't have heavy sponsors, but I got the time
Sure.
and I like the stuff. Do you do that, and how do they get to you?
Yes, absolutely. Everything for me, just speaking personally, everything is about community. My whole brand has been around community. It's about the community of sports fans. It's about the community of athletics. So, like, I love talking to people. I love entertaining folks. It doesn't have to come at me with, hey, this is Capital One. Like, I will gladly chat it up with somebody on their own podcast if I feel like they have the structure of what they want to do put together. And you can reach me easy. You can hit me on IG. Lots of folks email me I got a public email address that I go through, jrsportbrief@gmail.com. Like everything I have built, what I've done, like person, viewer to viewer. And along the way, it's like, okay, I reached one person. Okay, if you liked what I said about the Milwaukee Bucks, if I hit 5 people up, you might share it with 5 or 10 of your friends. And that's really how the growth of what I've done has really moved. So I'll entertain anybody if they come in and if they make sense.
Well, I can't wait to get back on your show, man. I know I got Scott coming up, and Scott's gonna be fun. But I want people to know where they can find you. Obviously, I didn't even pin the comment. Let me make sure I pin the comment so they can find you here. But where else can they find you, man?
Oh, well, you can listen to me every single weeknight on CBS Sports Radio. I host a national show. And then all my social media, everything is JR Sport Brief. So that's JR Sport Brief on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and it's the same for my email, jrsportbrief@gmail.com.
All right, JR, brother, I love you, man, and keep doing what you're doing, man. And so last question is, I know
Yeah.
sports is back here and it's not back here, but there's enough content out there for you to be chopping it up?
We're getting into it, and people NFL starts on Thursday. The NBA is moving towards their finals. The NHL is getting down to their conferences. We have the Kentucky Derby. Baseball is trying to get their World Series. And then at the same time, you can't ignore all of the aspects of social awareness. And people are starting to realize and understand that sports doesn't operate in a bubble. These are human beings just like everybody else. So we're having sports conversations about shots, but we're also having sports conversations that highlight the real issues in life. So I got plenty of content to talk about.
Well, good, man. We'll be checking for you.
All right. Bless up, Daymond. Thank you.
All right, you got it.
Peace. Later.
Well, that's my man. You gotta follow JR. Like, make sure you check him out. Now I'm gonna bring on Scott, and you probably know him already because Scott just had this meteoric rise. But all right, here goes Scott's background. Graduated from Johns Hopkins University in 2007 and took an unpaid internship. We're finding a lot of commonalities here. At The Onion, so he can get his foot in the door in the industry. Performed stand-up comedy and made funny YouTube videos throughout his internship. And a photo editor at The Onion who spearheaded content development for HQ Trivia. That's where you know him from, I'm sure. Later on, thought of Scott for his host position. When Scott went on to HQ Trivia, an app-based game show in which participants could win big cash prizes, it became very popular. So the game became popular, and he was invited to visit the owner's suite at the Super Bowl in 2018, but after attracting 2.4 million players, the app faded in popularity. Currently, Scott hosts Is So Late Night, a 45-minute live stream comedy show where he jokes with and interviews self-isolated celebrities like myself. My interview was in May, and he also started selling his large collection of vintage T-shirts on Instagram, Quiz Daddy's Closet, to raise money for charities like City Meals on Wheels. I'm going to bring Scott on right now.
Hello, hello.
What's up, Scott? How you doing, man?
David, man, I'm all right. How you doing?
It is good to see you. I am great. Where are you at right now?
I actually headed up to the old homestead. My old roommates, mom and dad, I'm back with them just for a couple days. They're helping out around the house. You know, they're in their 70s. They need some help when it comes to this pandemic. And my sister's across the ocean. She's in Scotland with her husband, so it's just me over here. So I'm doing the good son thing right now.
That's what you should do. That's what you should do. Thank God. Thank God. So, man, it's good to see you. Listen, I'm going to hop right into it. I know we were running a little late, and thank you for your patience and your time. So, why don't we talk about right now, you know, you started as an intern. You were just talking to JR, and, you know, he started as an intern. And tell me about why. Now, did you do the intern for college credit alone, or just tell me a little bit about that? Because a lot of people think they got to get paid no matter where they go.
I was out of college at that point. But before I get into that, I just want to shout out to JR here because, you know, the universe works in mysterious ways, Daymond. JR was talking about his journey, how he's been hustling and grinding since day one. I have an email from JR, October 2009. He came to my very first group of sports talk shows I was doing called 12 Angry Mascots back in 2009. And he was a scrappy young kid who's like, hey, I want to come out and cover your show for my blog. I'm like, sure, come on out.
Nice.
He comes, he does a video with Darrell Reeves from the Jets. It gets like 10,000 views. So I have emails with him from 2009, 2010. And to see him 10 years later, after all that work, blowing up the way he is, I just, hats off to JR, man. I'm telling you, I've seen that journey since day one, and I'm so proud of him. And it's such an inspiration. You know, myself and I look at myself the same way. I was a nobody comedian at the time, just doing my own thing, being a self-starter. I was doing the internship in 2008. That was after I graduated college, so I was not getting paid there, doing other side gigs to pay rent while I was doing the internship. But, you know, getting back to that, it's the networking effect that you talk about. You mentioned in my intro, Nick Gallo at The Onion. I met him in 2008. 10 years later, he's calling me up and saying, hey, you want to come in and audition for this HQ thing? So had I not met him and maintained that friendship back then, you know, we stayed friends on Facebook. We go to parties together. You know, we were actually, you know, we stayed in touch. But you don't even have to be that in touch. If you just are a nice person, a good person, and you make those connections in your early career, 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, you never know when those connections are going to come back and help you out. And that's exactly what happened with Nick.
That same thing happened with us. You
Yeah.
and I, because of our buddy Zach, he said, "Hey, somebody wants to do a spoof on Shark Tank." This was about 10 years ago. I said, "All right, no problem." And you were there, and we did our thing. And then all of a sudden, I think 6 years or 7 years pass. Your trivia shows out, and and everything, and we're all talking. And you're right. I mean, I see people on Shark Tank that I saw 10 years ago, and they didn't even have the product they were on Shark Tank with. They had something else, and they're like, "Oh, remember me? I was in a pitch competition, and you gave me 5 stars on my pitch, a public pitch competition, and that business failed, or I left this partner, or whatever happened, and now I got something new, and I don't even remember them when they're pitching, but afterwards I'll go, oh wow, because they're pitching a whole nother product, but you'll see the same people like on the grind for like 10, 15 years, and you'll turn around and go, oh, this person didn't come out of nowhere. They've been busting their ass for all these years.
And look, I people ask me all the time, how do I get into comedy? What should I do? And I feel like a lot of people just want that instant success, and no matter what field they're in, whether you're a writer, I mean, that's probably the hardest thing, because when you're in the creative arts and you're an artist, a painter, a writer, you're putting your brain out there into the page or to the canvas. It's going to take a long time. Most of the time, it takes a long time for you to build up that social capital and to get people to recognize, oh, this guy or girl has some talent, some genius here, if you actually have that talent and genius. I mean, look, some people put it out there and it's not that good, and you're not going to get, all right, try something else, Not everything isn't for everyone. But
yeah, you won't know it's not that good until you put it out.
Exactly. You got to put it out. JR, look, how many sports fans out there? Tens of millions, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
How much doing what JR's doing? Not too many, because he went out there and did it. And
Well,
that's to prove that he's got the talent for it.
Well, let's get to you. I mean, one day, I think season 2, Jeff Foxworthy was a fellow shark, and we were sitting on set, and he was telling me, he was like, listen, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, whoever, or Madonna can go out and sing Material Girl for the rest of her life, right?
Yeah.
And you go to her concert or whatever, you're waiting for Material Girl to come on sooner or later, right? I mean, or Like a Virgin or whatever it is. He said, in comedy, I can't tell the same joke twice. After I have this, this show, whatever the case is, I can't tell the same joke twice. And he said, you got to earn every single snicker or laugh in that room, whether it's 2 people or it's 1,000. And I want people to think about or 1,000,000. I want people to think about right now, walking into a room, into a dinner party, and everybody's like this. And you have to stand there and you have to tell joke after joke after joke. And no matter how much they respond or how they have to pivot against the responses, against the boos, or how hard is that shit?
Well, man, it's I would say fighting fire is a little harder. There's certain things. People say, oh, you're so brave to be a comedian, Going off to war is brave. I mean, what we're doing at the end of the day, there's a buffet happening over the side. Maybe you're contending with the bar being too loud, shaking the cocktails. But other than that, you're not really up against too much. You are up against really yourself. And it's about, look, life is all about overcoming fear, finding the confidence, right? I mean, if all of us could find that confidence, we'd all be walking around millionaires, successful in every field. I feel like a lot of people, they get stuck in maybe hitting that rut or hitting their head against the walls because they can't break past that fear and break past, the shackles that are saying, you're not good enough. You can't go up there and do that. And people are being held down and tied down by their own brain. It's their own mental power.
Yeah, you know what? Let me ask you something. Have you ever got booed?
Of course.
What do you mean, of course? I thought you were going to think about it. So you can have your own mental power all you want.
I did a show.
But you see somebody up on stage going, yeah, and you're up on stage and you see somebody going, boo, get out of here. And you're trying to do what you already rehearsed a couple of hours or a couple of minutes. How do you say, no, you're only against yourself? You're against a drunk asshole booing you right now.
Well, sometimes if you have a drunk asshole, you can use your jujitsu to come back at them and cut them down a peg. You know what I mean? Why don't you pull down your pants and hitch a ride out of here, pal? But there's certain lines. But I'll tell you one story. You know, I haven't been doing a lot of live comedy lately because, of course, no one's doing any live comedy lately. But I did do a rooftop show just 2 nights ago, and that was a great crowd. I told them, you guys better laugh tonight because I'm standing pretty close to the edge of this roof. I might just jump. But I did a show maybe last year, 2 years ago. It was at a strip club, kind of burlesque club kind of thing. So I was going on in the midst of all these burlesque acts, kind of using, there's a stripper pole in the middle. And right before I'm going on, some woman's up there doing her thing, twisting around. And you know, the crowd's all about that, right? Very positive, sex positive crowd and everything. And I think they were probably there more for the burlesque than the comedy, to be honest. I go out there and I make a joke about, you know, this is before the pandemic. I go, how much Purell can we get on this pole right now? Can we wipe this thing down? Like, I'm not making fun of the you know, the stripper kind of thing. And I called him a stripper. God forbid you call them a stripper. The place went nuts. Boo! These are dancers. This is burlesque. This is art. So,
Right.
So you know, yeah, you have to deal with that a little bit. And that set didn't go too well. But at the end of the day, Dave, what you got to remember is, you have a bad night like that, you can get back up and do it tomorrow. You can even get back up on stage that same night. You can go out 3-4 times a night. If you live in a city like New York, where you have opportunities to perform 2, 3, 4 times a night, even, you can actually just get right back up there, back on the horse after you fall off. So that's.
Do you ever? Are you the kind of person or comedian that makes fun of yourself, or because I find, you know, my boy, he showed me a video of this guy. The guy has, I think, cerebral palsy. I'm not sure what's his. And you may know the comedian. What's his challenge with walking? But he has the 2 sticks, and you know, he walks like that.
Yeah.
And he's a comedian.
Josh
and
Blue.
I think so. And he takes like 5 minutes to get on stage. You ever seen this guy?
Yeah.
And when he gets up on stage, if people aren't clapping a lot, he goes, "Did you see how much it took for me to get on stage?" And he talks like, and he goes, "I'm going to do it again." And he takes like 5 minutes to get back off and 5 minutes to get back on. And people are just dying laughing. And he's in on the joke, obviously. I mean, do you do that as well? Because what I'm trying to come at, is when people are broadcasting or people are doing presentations, how much humbling should they do themselves so it takes that negativity out of the room?
I look at it as, you know, when you get on stage in front of someone, automatically you're elevating yourself above them, right? Just by the pure physics of it. You're on a stage, the stage is higher up, you've got a microphone, your voice is being amplified. The audience, it depends. Some audience members are more than thrilled to be an audience member. Oh, I can't wait, I love being. But some people in the audience, they get almost affronted by it. It's like, you think you're better than me? Yeah. You're up there on that stage, you got your voice, I've got a voice. You know, so for those types of people in the audience, and I would say for everyone, you want to, I look at it this way. Some comedians don't do this, but my personality is very deprecating. I want to almost cut myself down to the same size as the audience and say, hey, we're all the same here. We're all on the same playing field here. So you throw some of those jokes out there, and if you have cerebral palsy, you know, you talk about it. If you're 7 feet tall, you mention that. If you're 5,000 pounds, you mention. I mean, you know, if there are things about your appearance, because again, people are judging you right on your looks when you walk out there. What's this guy going to talk about? What's this person all about? So if you address those things with me, it's like, look, I get it. This is almost too much Judaism for one face. Like, let's turn it down a little bit. Right? but you know, so you kind of throw that out there, and if you get people laughing at you, I think that kind of brings everyone kind of in this safe space together. Now you can say, hey, I'm just one of you. We're going to have a good time tonight. And then you can start talking about whatever you want. And it also helps when, if you're going to talk about divisive issues, you know, get political or whatever, you know, you want to sort of say, hey, we're all human at the beginning here. Let's start from a place of humanity. And then we can disagree on certain things, but I'm going to give you my point of view. I have the mic. I am the one being paid to be here. So, you know, listen to me for tonight. And if you want to talk to me after the show, we can talk.
Well, listen to you. So when I first started speaking, because it took me a couple of years to get this, and I'll tell you my response to it, but how can people relate to this is that, you know, you'll see people sleeping in the crowd, and I've also seen, you know, you'll often see people get up and just walk out. And I used to say, damn, what did I say so bad? You know, like, or damn, I'm that whack, or whatever the case is. And I started to realize that I shouldn't take it personal because they may have to go out, they may have to get up because they had to go to the bathroom, or they had to call their daughter, or it was time for them to leave because they wanted to be there for an hour, but they can only be there half an hour. And now we're seeing it on the Zooms and the Skypes when you're on these big calls and half the people are turning their screens off, or you see them clearly emailing and texting on their phone, or maybe they're playing a game like a Monopoly, like sometimes I actually do on some Zoom calls, right? How do you not let that get to you and not feel like what I'm saying is not of value to this person? You know what I mean? How do you let that not get to you, if at all? I mean, because my thing was just, I realized that I assumed that no matter what, something was really important, like their daughter or their wife, or they had to leave, or they had to go to the bathroom, because if I take it any other way, I'm going to overanalyze the thing, and then it's going to affect what I'm presenting to the rest of the people who are actually listening.
Yeah, I go the other way. I just assume that they have evil in their heart. They are terrible people, and they're going to hell, and they can't be saved. And no, look. When you come to these events, when you speak in front of a room of 300 people or whatever it is, you just have to know you're not the Pope. You know, everyone's not sitting there raptured in your presence. Okay, the people who booked you, they're fans of yours. But most of those people, some of them, if they're not like paying members for coming to you, I'm going to pay $30 to see Daymond John speak. I'm going to, if they're not coming for you and they're not invested in that, well, not everyone may not be, paying attention all the time. And you have to just accept the fact that some people maybe were brought here against their will. Some people, some boyfriend dragged their girlfriend along, some girlfriend dragged their boyfriend, whatever it is.
That's a good point.
You just go, I'm here for the people who want to see me. And if you're one of the few people who don't know who I am or don't care for my stuff, I'm not here for you. Look, Disney movies aren't for, 28-year-olds most of the time. Kids movies are not for adults. I mean, like, certain things are for certain people sometimes. And I'm not for everyone. I like to say I'm not for anyone.
Right.
But everyone has their fan base, their niche, and you cultivate that, and you can't worry about it. You're not going to get everyone on board with you. Like The Onion. I always thought about this. You mentioned The Onion, the paper I interned for and I got to write for, fortunately. I think The Onion is some of the best comedy going today. I mean, certainly 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, the best written comedy out there. But, their circulation was maybe a couple 100,000, right? Like, they weren't reaching 300 million people. A lot of people would read The Onion headlines and think that was the real news. They didn't even get the joke that The Onion was trying to tell them. So for those people, if you're reading The Onion and you don't realize it's a joke, I'm sorry, you're never going to understand The Onion. It's just not for you.
Right.
But The Onion, to me, had like a ceiling. There's only a certain amount of people who are ever going to really appreciate and understand this publication. And that goes for everyone and everything. Not everyone's going to love Daymond John. Not everyone's going to love Scott Regatta. Not everyone's going to love you. Accept it and move on.
Yeah, I got it. Well, so what are you doing now? Again, where can people find you right now? Obviously, I put up your IG, and I want to know, because I know you got a lot of different content going out. And where can people find you right now besides IG, or that's just the main place?
You can find me at my parents' house right now. IG, yeah, I've been sort of taking a break from social media, man. This pandemic, I will echo what everyone is saying. The whole, beyond the pandemic, the social justice movement that's been picking up this summer. I basically, after we recorded our show, I think you might have been one of my last guests, Damon. I sort of took a step back. I wanted to give space to other voices out there and other creators that I wanted to take some time off away from all that and, educate myself further and get more on the level of what's going on and be part of the movement, go out in the streets, reading James Baldwin, getting into all this. And so I'm still, frankly, kind of in that mode right now. I'm reading Eddie Glaudet's book, Born Again, about James Baldwin right now. And I'm reading, I read So You Want to Talk About Race, Il Giomo Luo. And I'm just like reading, I'm watching. I'm kind of sitting back and creating less right now. To sort of recharge my spiritual self a little bit and to be, that universal consciousness we're trying to reach. I think that's kind of the most important thing. But I am maintaining my internet presence specifically for my T-shirt business, Quiz Daddy's Closet on Instagram. And I'm using the money that I raised there to donate to various causes. I've raised over $20,000 for charity so far. Been giving a lot to Black Lives Matter causes. I've been supporting a bookstore in the Bronx called The Lit. I bought 250 copies of So You Want to Talk About Race, and now I'm sending those copies of books out to people who want one. So if you find me on Twitter, DM me right now. If you want to read this book, you can't afford it, I'll send you a copy free of charge. If you have a school, I sent 30 copies to a school teacher in Southern New Jersey. She's going to give it to her students and have like a whole teaching course around it. So I'm trying to, support Black-owned bookstores, get these books and this knowledge into the hands of people who need it, who can't afford it. And that's kind of where I'm at these days.
That's where you need to leave it, because that is absolutely amazing. So I really appreciate you, Scott, man. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for making us laugh, but also making us think right now.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, you got it, brother.
Thanks.
All right, listen. I think you found two amazing people that have showed you how to take your passion and utilize it, have a very particular voice and positioning. Scott talking about the challenges of comedy, but also what else did we learn? What else did we just not learn? This is all the stuff we know. We're just kind of rethinking it, right? On how, you do something in 5 and 10 years, you don't know where it's going to pay off from, but it is really about cultivating relationships and various other things. Also, how to respond to people when you are presenting, whether on Zoom or whether in person, and you got your hecklers in the room, or, how to bring yourself to the same level the people are, whether bring yourself up or bring yourself to where they feel they are, so they don't think you're better than anybody else. How to take rejection. But I think one of the most important things that Scott said, and so did JR, don't you notice that JR said, we're talking about sports, but sports is reflective and they're not in a bubble where it comes to what's going on in this world. And Scott, during the time when all of us are thinking about how we're going to, recalibrate and power shift ourselves, he said, I'm stepping back from all this because I'm educating myself more in this world so I can be a better human being, as well as I'm taking the things that I can do, like donating this to this area. I'm buying these type of books to educate people, because I think that when we reflect on these times, there's never going to be a time exactly like this where we had to say, what did we do during this time? Did we help people? Did we help ourselves? Did we help our family? Did we help other things? So educating yourself is key. And I think that hats off to Scott, hats off to Yanni and Ginger and everybody on here, Patricia Bolton, everybody on here that has checked in. You know what? I got 5 minutes. I'm going to try to bring somebody else on, whoever else it is. Let me just bring on another guest. Not that I know who it is, whoever just pinged in. And let me see if I just pick somebody up right here. Boom. I'm going to try Naha Bahuslin, I think her name is. Out of nowhere. I know she didn't expect me to bring her on, and if she doesn't answer, I'm picking up somebody else really quick. Design to Ink. If she doesn't answer, I'm going to come for you. Let's see. I'm not getting her. All right. Let me see that. I saw that Design to Ink. I like that. I like that graphic. It just stood out. Design to Ink. What up, man?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
How you doing, man? Bring the camera down a little bit. There you go. Hey, man. Great graphic, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you didn't expect me to bring you on, but you got any good questions and or advice on what you're doing that we can all learn from right now, or a question, whatever it is? What's your name, man? What's your name?
My name is Andre. I'm right here in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yep.
There's a big head boy named Cuban over there that I know. Lives in Dallas.
Yeah, he right down the street. Right down.
Yeah. Right next door, probably. Right next door.
Yeah. Man, I really had a question. Manufacturing and prototyping, I created a face mask that displays the temperature on the outside of the mask based upon the person's temperature. And right now, it's the NDAs that's getting me. No one want to sign the NDA. The manufacturers want to do business with you unless you're on a higher level.
Yeah.
So it's just an uphill journey right now.
Yeah. So why do you need manufacturers for that? Meaning, like, why can't you cottage industry it and make 100 of them? Or here's other ways to get around NDAs, right? However you are exercising the unit to do the temperature, you can have a small minimum run of products either done cottage industry, by some seamstresses, whatever the case is. and get the pieces over here and then put them together yourself with a third party, so that doesn't let others disclose. They don't know where the other units are coming from, so you put it together. That's a lot of times how you try to get around NDAs. In regards to NDAs are, if you're going to big manufacturers, NDAs are they're challenging because people generally can get around them, especially if it's a big manufacturer. A big manufacturer will either pay you a couple of dollars to get rid of you or drown you in legal. You know, if it's a very simple idea like that. So what happens is speed to market is what is the best thing you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Just grabbing two pieces. It's just learning it. I found the patent on it, so it's just learning it, man. Yeah. So.
And you can file a patent on it, but then somebody will say, okay, well, we're not going to apply it the same way that your temperature comes here. The whole thing may turn a different color when you are over 98 degrees, right? So like right now, I can find fabric that, you know, it's tech fabric that right now I make it and it's black, but when it goes over a certain degree, it turns red, turns blue. Or I can have the kind of adhesive temperature gauge that, you know, we have that put it right in this. Like, there's going to be various ways. Your patent could cost you as much as $17,000 or even up to $75,000. Now, how many units could you have made already with $17,000 and would have gotten them out to people and already branded your name, you know?
Thousands. Thousands. And
so don't overthink it, homie.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
All right.
Hey, I appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with me.
All right. And one last thing. Sometimes people don't give NDAs because, of course, I don't know how big your business is, but maybe you are a small business, like you said, they want big minimums. But they're scared if they're in the manufacturing business of signing one, because then somebody comes in with something similar that has nothing to do with yours.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you can potentially have, you know, a litigious claim against them. That's why I don't sign NDA. I can't sign NDAs because of companies I look at due to Shark Tank, because you can say to me, hey, I have this. I have no idea what's walking into Shark Tank tomorrow, and all of a sudden I have to have a conflict or disqualify myself from being in that investment because it had some component of what you were doing. So a lot of times that becomes a challenge.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go knock them dead, brother. All right, peace.
All right.
There you go. Listen, you never know who's going to pick up the phone or hit you on IG, and maybe hopefully that little piece of information just saved him thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, or I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Listen, man, Andre, the information I gave you, like I said in the opening of this, fact check it, find out who, look at 5 different opinions about what I just said and come up with the right way to do it. Do not just trust what I said. Remember, don't go to one source, but check that out. And anybody else out there who has NDA problems and or patent issues or hitting minimums or worrying about their manufacturer trying to take your goods and or doing it, those are a couple of different ways you can hustle and move around it. But again, don't just listen to me. Go check out what I'm saying and all that good stuff. And if you happen to be a patent attorney on here or a manufacturer on here watching, or you know a manufacturer, or you know a patent attorney, or you know something else, please just plug it in. Plug it in right now, right to the bottom, so everybody else can see it. And everybody else who's seeing it, make sure when you see it, just because they're on my feed doesn't mean they're great people. I hope they are, but check into it as well. Always check into what you're doing. And I wish you all an amazing, amazing week. If you want, check into that little reply I gave my friend over, on 2 days ago on that little post that when I put up my friend was throwing up, and there was that young man. So you can hopefully think about certain times when you want to just have a knee-jerk reaction, put yourself out there. All right, I wish you all the best, and I will talk to you later. I love you all. Peace.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.